Hi Year 6 and welcome to Tuesday's English lesson. Today we are going to write our last piece of our story about Stanley's flashback. So we are writing the consequence section, we're writing plot point 4. If you have not already written up to plot point 3, then you're going to need to go back to YouTube and find some of the earlier videos because we have already written 1, 2 and 3 and we're now on the last section. So today is about the consequence, okay? So last session, in the last plot point, we found out how Stanley got the shoes. You made that up, how he came about them. And now we're going to see the consequence of the crime. So we know from the book that Stanley was given the option between jail and Camp Green Lake. So this is the part now where someone's going to catch him and arrest him. And we're going to find out what happened, okay, that got him to Camp Green Lake. So we're going to do it just the same as we do at school and the same that we've been doing every other lesson. So get your pen and paper ready, split it up, and we're going to have adverbials, noticing and asking today, okay? So you've got your time symbol, your eyes and your speech mark. Pause me and set up your page and then come back to find out what's going in our first thinking box. Okay, so we're going to start with adverbials. Now we've looked at fronted adverbials, going in the front, whole statements to tell us how or when or where something happened. But what is an adverb? So an adverb is a single word telling us how or why or where, okay? So often they end in ly, they don't always. Things like quickly, immediately. Okay, we can also have something like in a panic, which is an adverbial phrase, an adverb that's more than one word. So in this section, we're thinking about how he's going to react after committing the crime or after getting the shoes. He might run away or he might not because he doesn't think he's done anything wrong. So you need to decide once he's got those shoes in plot point 3, how are we going to start this plot point? What's he going to do? Is he going to be going somewhere quickly, frantically? Is he going to be in a panic or is he going to be not bothered? Is he going to be confused? What adverbs? How is he going to behave? Fill your thinking box, pause me here and then come back. Okay, fab. Hopefully you've got some things in your thinking side. This is my model sentence then. So I'm going to get, in my story, I'm going to get Stanley away from the scene. So I've put, he began running frantically. So we don't need to put our adverbs at the front today. We're just focusing on putting an adverb in. And I've used that frantically word. He began running frantically. So now it's your turn, just like we've done before. Minimum of 5 minutes, maximum of 10. Start your plot point. Use your adverb. What is Stanley going to do next? Come back when you've done that chunk. Okay, so let's have a look at our next skill. We're going to think about sight, noticing what you might be able to see. Okay, so thinking what is there to describe at this stage. So we are going to introduce a police officer, the policeman or woman that catches Stanley, and we're going to describe what they look like. So there's some examples here: lanky, angry looking, a kind face. So what kind of a policeman is going to catch up, or woman is going to catch up with Stanley? That's what you decide next, okay? Spend some time now on your thinking box, all of the description that you can think of for your police character. Come back when you've finished. Okay, so your second thinking box should now be full and we're going to carry on our story. So I have written, it wasn't long before he was stopped, semicolon, a lanky policeman with a kind face pulled up alongside him. So if you wanted to use a semicolon, remember that you can use them to join two sentences that could be joined with a connective. They're linked, but they both make sense on their own. Okay, so I've got, it wasn't long before he was stopped, a lanky policeman with a kind face pulled up alongside him. So they are linked sentences, okay? If you wanted to try a semicolon, you can. It's your turn now then. So again, that minimum of 5, maximum of 10, you need to write the meeting of the policeman and you're going into detail about what he looks like. Remember, you can use other skills, other things, feelings, actions, if you write your noticing sentence really quickly. Pause me here to do your sentence about the policeman or woman and then come back. Okay, fab. Last skill then, we're going to look at speech. Okay, there's a reminder here of punctuating speech. We have done this before. We did it in school last term. Remember, your speech marks, a pair of speech marks, goes around what is actually said, the words that are actually said, and any punctuation like this exclamation mark goes inside. Stop, the policeman shouted. I didn't do it, Stanley replied. Remember, where there's not a specific piece of punctuation, like an exclamation mark or a question mark, we use a comma. And if we put in front, Stanley replied, then we put a comma there before the speech. So if we put the person who said it at the beginning, it needs to follow a comma, okay? So go and have a go now. These are some examples of what either Stanley or the policeman might say. Where did you get those? You're coming with me. I'm innocent, I swear. Decide what the conversation is going to look like. Fill your think inside, your last space, with all of the things that either Stanley could say or the police person or both. Come back when you're done. Okay. So you should have lots of speech here, and now you're going to pick what you want for your sentence. So I have chosen, as he was pulled into the police station, comma, Stanley kept shouting, comma, I'm innocent, I swear. Okay, so my speech is Stanley. You could have the policeman talking first. It's completely up to you. It's your turn now to write your last sentence. Give yourself the same time limit and add in your speech. You might have a back and forth conversation between Stanley and the policeman, and that's absolutely fine. Remember your speech punctuation. Get that last chunk written and then come back. Right, well done. You have now finished your story. So today was the last plot point. You've written a whole flashback story telling the story of how Stanley stole the shoes. We'll be able to find out whether or not you were right with that as we see the next part of Holes, which I will record for you for tomorrow. So I would love to see your finished stories. You might decide you want to publish up the whole thing. You might want to type it up, or you might want to write it up really neatly, the whole thing all together without your thinking bits. Or if not, you can just send a picture of every piece that you've done, all your plot points together to make the final story. Well done for sticking with me. Well done for following the story all the way through. I will see you in the next lesson.